Okay. So how long have you been? Okay, so we met a week ago. You've been, would you say you've been accurately eating to hunger for what, 2, 3 weeks now?
Yeah, at least I think 3 or 4. Yeah.
So it's been a full month that you have, would you say that it's a lot easier for you now?
Oh, it's like yeah, there's no effort involved anymore.
Yeah, and you don't have the emotional need to eat to pacify those emotions. Those you went through that wave and it's now gone, right? We talked about that
Yeah.
last session.
Yeah.
So you were saying that this weekend you did something that was revolutionary in terms of your process. This process.
Yeah.
What was it?
I went dancing with my friends, and something that I would never have done.
And how did it feel?
Amazing. It was just so much more fun. I felt so free to just enjoy the experience as myself and not have to worry or spend any energy on worrying about my appearance at all. It was just amazing.
Well, do you feel like part of that in the environment of having the music and wanting to dance and to move the body that you have, right? That you feel is that you to go into that and say, I know there are people out there, potentially the risk, right, is that someone doesn't like the way your body looks. They are making fun of the fact that you're out there dancing or whatever it is.
Right.
That you could say, and I don't even care. I'm going to go have fun, and I don't want anybody else's perception of me to be involved. So I'm going to do it even if I believe someone's going to make fun of me or whatever. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out and move my body and shake it up and enjoy myself. And how did that feel to not care?
Oh, it was awesome. It was more than that caring. I was just like, bring it. I mean, like, if you don't like what you see, then, you just didn't. It was even beyond not caring. It was just so freeing. I really was excited to see how I would respond. And I don't know, I think I just knew that I would just feel so much better. And just dancing, it was just exhilarating, so much more so than it had ever been before, because I was truly free. I didn't care about what anybody thought. I didn't care about what I looked like.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter.
So in the past, if you had lost a ton of weight, you remember when you said you were really thin for that long time because of that parasite?
Right.
If you would have gone dancing, would you have felt that way in that thin body?
No, not at all, because I'd been dancing before, when I was really thin, but still very dysfunctional in terms of my eating and everything. And it was I felt I wasn't happy. I felt weighed down, constantly checking myself, just worrying too much. The whole getting ready before was so, it was just, it made the whole experience kind of like dragging, but it was totally different.
And how did it feel not to care about anybody else? I think a lot of times when people are obsessed with body image, they're always checking other people's body, right? And so you'll see some girl who's absolutely gorgeous, who has the perfect body, and all of a sudden you hate her and you feel really bad about yourself, even though, right? So how did it feel to not care?
Yeah, there was none of that. I could look around the room and see everybody and not even think, oh, she's perfect and she's not, and this and that. There was nothing like that. I was just enjoying like the social atmosphere. Because I don't get to go out that much, and so just enjoying that, enjoying the music, people just dancing together. It was just a totally different thing.
Yeah, the other side of that too is having and seeing someone else who's bigger on the floor and going, how does she do that?
Right.
How does she go out there and just not care? I wish I could be that.
Yeah.
Right? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, for sure. To see people being happy and not being perfect, but
Did you have to get drunk to do it? Right? That's the other part.
No.
Some people have to have, the alcohol or the weed or whatever it is to give them that leniency in that moment. And you shouldn't have to have that. You should just have this, right, agreed, the awareness and the freedom, whether you're under the influence or not, shouldn't make an impact. You should do it if you're, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because someone else's criticisms, you don't want to be held captive by those. You don't want to be held captive in your life because you're afraid to be judged.
Yeah.
That is an awful feeling, isn't it?
Oh, it's a prison that you build around yourself with someone else's thoughts. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and to be free in this body that, you know, a month ago was completely, you know, held captive psychologically. Yeah. To be able to go out in that body and not have the condition that it has to be perfect or lose weight, and to accept it in a vulnerable position, even to dance, is honestly, it is super liberating to realize that it does. I don't care about anybody's opinion. Now, we were at this point, I had asked, is there anything at this point that could convince you to go back into dieting?
No, not at all. It's the same thing as smoking. I would never pick up another cigarette for anything, and I wouldn't diet again for anything. Mm-hmm.
So what would happen if we had said, okay, the next step in this process in terms of the rehabilitation is to be able to, now that you are not afraid of food, you can eat anything that sounds good to you. There's no moral to food. And you are very clearly being guided by the body's biological rhythms of hunger, right? What happens now if the body does lose weight? Can you lose body weight and continue to stay detached? Right? What that means is that you can be handed a body that is more physically idealized. It's more matching the ideal. And can you not get the illusion that it is a reflection of your success, right? It's like moralizing the body.
Right.
Can you be handed something that people worship, right? Or they admonish, or that they believe is a better than, right? You're healthy, however they worship body image. Can you be handed that and not attached to it? Similarly to how you're not attaching to the body, even if it's being judged. Can you be praised and not attached to it? Can you see how we're going around the whole 360 degrees of this belief system?
Yeah, no, totally. And that's what I'm eager to do, because I want to test myself that way to be sure that this is really something that I can do, because I felt like I've been so successful on this. It's been so easy, after that point of breaking through that initial belief system.
Yeah, you walk through that door fully, it's hard to go back. So if you lose weight, that is your addiction. That is where the brain gets super euphoric, right? That's where your brain, that's where your beliefs thought the most value you had to society, and it also believed that was the safest place to be in terms of survival. So we're going to give you what your brain actually gets high on. We're giving you your narcotic. You're going to get it. Can you release it? The key is, how we have to prepare you is to essentially say, I'm going to go through this protocol, and when it's over, I have to be willing to gain the weight back. Because that's the ultimate risk of not dieting.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't control the body, you're at risk for whatever it's going to do.
Exactly. The body's going to do what it's going to do.
You got it. And so that is the ultimate test. And to me, as far as like rehabilitation is concerned, so all of you like therapists and people who work specifically with eating disorders, the HCG protocol, in my opinion and observation, is really the only safe thing for you to do, being that you've been anorexic, binge eating, and all of the in between, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The eating disorder not otherwise specified, orthorexic, anorexic, but binge eating, bulimia, exercise bulimia, obsessed, you've done it all, right? So what is the safe way for you to diet, right? The HCG protocol is something that cannot be done in reality. It is not realistic. It has a beginning and it has an end. It has a very specific eating routine that isn't moralized. Diets are moralized. You know, eating ketogenic, very moral, religious viewpoint, specifically to trying to manipulate the body and to compensate for this inflamed brain. I mean, this is like putting up in a skewed environment. It's bizarre. Same with, you know, all of the diets out there, vegan, vegetarian, paleo, all of it is somewhat moralized and it's meant to be done forever, right?
Yeah.
Where the protocol keeps you out of it, keeps the moral out of it, and it allows the body to heal hormonally. And you cannot continue to do it forever. If you do, you're going to go back into your disorder. So that is the risk. That's always the risk with people. But once you get to this point, can you see why this would be the safest environment for you to lose weight in?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you have to, it's hormonal therapy. It's very specific. There's transition. So you don't just do this forever. There is a transition out, and then you go back into this reality that you're doing right now. So the only way this can work for you is if you commit to going back to this way of eating when it's over. Because in this way of eating, do you have this fight or flight survival obsession?
No, not at all.
It's gone for you. Yeah, so this is a safe environment for you to not be attached to body image, to have the freedom without the conditions of body image. And so again, can you see why the protocol in terms of healing physically, the thyroid, the adrenals, and some of these things that have been destroyed from the eating disorder and from the parasite and from what happened when you went to that naturopath and they gave you their, you know, basically ketogenic diet, right? We're going to try to heal some of the damages done metabolically. This is the best way for you to keep out of it emotionally.
Yes, I agree.
Now that you've had this separation, you are now a better candidate for it.
Okay, great.
So the risk for you, and the risk actually for the body, is that you decide, oh, if I lose weight, oh my gosh, I feel so much better about myself. And I don't know, I just feel so much healthier. That can be a problem too, right? Because anything you attach to, you're going to have to defend when you get off of the protocol. And that defensiveness is ultimately the disorder.
Right.
It's a need to survive, right? It's need attached to survival. So we have to remove the survival mechanism of it. And that part is you saying, I'm okay gaining weight. If I gain weight when this is over, that's fine. I don't need to be thin to be valuable or to live my life. I don't have to have that. However, if my energy improves, if the metabolic system in any way can be healed from any of this damage done from the extremism in the exercise, extremism in the food consumption, and extremism in the binging, if I can in any way, you know, create more elasticity in my endocrine system, which is what it is, why not give it a try? Yeah. Give the body a chance. Don't have any expectations. What happens to your need to monitor your weight?
I don't need to. I'm not going to.
Why would you?
I'm not gonna. Yeah.
It's like there's no need.
Because that's not the purpose for that.
No. And if you do, what are you at risk for?
Oh, just emotionally attaching to that number and getting that euphoria, that, you know, rush, that, you know, drug kind of effect.
Well, that's only if
the number going down.
Yeah, if you attach to it emotionally or morally, right?
Yeah,
so you should ultimately you should be able to weigh yourself and not care, not attach to it, not need it to be a certain way. It doesn't become part of a permanent landscape. It just becomes part of just a moving. It's like monitoring your hunger. It's like, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, no, I'm not hungry. It just becomes a piece of information. So there's no need to even moralize it. So that is the ultimate goal, is that you can see your weight, that you can look in the mirror, that you don't have to body check, that it just becomes part of something that's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't really have a whole lot of influence. It just is a piece of information. Exactly. It's like a piece of information. It's like, oh, look at my blood pressure.
Right, exactly, blood pressure.
Yes, exactly. And so, because what you've done is like take blood pressure and make it survival, right? Oh my God, exactly. It's at 182, 120 over 180 is perfect. I can't have any lenience in that. Oh my God, if it goes up to 185, I'm going to die. That's essentially what you've done with your body shape and size.
Yeah.
It's like you're so Yeah, and everybody in the country is monitoring everybody's blood pressure and saying, "Oh my God, if you don't have the right blood pressure,
something's wrong with you.
You need to work on that. You would be so much happier if you had good blood pressure."
Right.
And they make it into this like moral measure, and like we have to micromanage it because the body can't do it on its own.
Yeah.
Right? I know it's a crazy fault. So we're basically going to put you in the drug that you worshipped, moralized, obsessed about, and we're going to see if you don't obsess about it and don't worship it.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to give it to you, and then we're going to take it away.
Okay.
How do you feel right now? How do you feel about that?
I feel good. I feel, like I did when I was getting ready to go dancing. I was just like, let's do this, and I felt confident in myself, and I feel the same way.
Do you feel ready to give the food up at this point? I mean, you have to go. Let's really think about it, because I don't want to rush into it before.
No, I know.
A lot of people need to give themselves. They're like, I'd rather just stay where I'm at right now, because for the first time since I was a child, I have this freedom, and I don't necessarily care enough about my weight, which is like, oh my God, amazing. Just the fact that they feel that way. To jump right back into a therapy that honestly it makes me want to retch to even think about dieting, right? So you have to really get yourself in a position to where you feel that going into this very low calorie protocol, measuring chicken, only eating tomatoes and cucumbers and lettuce and kale and right, you're laughing because it's like you're about to go back into that, and you really need to think hard about the timing as far as, do you feel that you've had this freedom long enough to where you're not going to feel a sense of being deprived of that freedom on the protocol?
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, I don't feel, I'm not even seeing it as like a deprivation at all. I very much did before. But now it's even, because I don't see it as something food related even, you know what I mean? This is so much more about healing the imbalances that I've created, and getting myself, just healing that damage that was done. The food isn't even a big deal. It's finite. There is an end to it. It's just however many days.
Yeah. And if you're eating to hunger, you're never going to starve, which means you're living in abundance anyways, right?
Yeah. I'm not worried about feeling hungry or, any of that stuff. It doesn't feel constricting or confining to me at all when I'm thinking about it right now, which makes me feel like I am ready.
Yeah. The other part to this, remember, too, is if we even said, well, this isn't about even the body health, let's just take it out of the equation. Now, why would you do it?
Right, exactly, yeah.
No, think about it. What then would be the purpose if this isn't about even body image in terms of health? What is it about?
I just want to make sure, I'm really wanting to just solidify my gains in terms of how I feel about food and my relationship to it now. I want to know that I can lose the weight. I can, shove my face in that drug and not enjoy it or not take part. You know what I mean? Like just be in it and not fall victim to it, not let myself become what I was before, which was like a slave to it, Okay,
so if we actually look at those two, the protocol being this is healing for the body.
Yeah.
But really, what is it for you in terms of what you've been doing? It is the ultimate test to be given your drug and to see that you're not attached to it, that you don't have to have it, and that it doesn't become something it shouldn't be, that you're not making it into something egotistical or egoic, right?
Right, exactly.
So if you really think about it, that should be your only focus. Because the body's going to do what it's going to do. Are you going to go outside? Go. Yeah, I mean, as far as like, obviously being that I'm part of a clinic that does this, on our side of it, it's like the healing part of the human body is like, oh my God, this is freaking amazing. But with specifically what I do with people, that isn't even my gig. We don't really have, no human being on the face of this planet has enough knowledge and intelligence to actually fully understand what happens on the protocol physically. We just observe it and go, wow, this is unbelievable, right? So we don't even need to focus on that. We don't need to be doing any numbers. We really honestly can just say it works. We can just put it aside. The main focus, the only thing we really have to focus on that is within your ability is don't attach to the losses or even the health of it. Assume everything that you're doing, that it could come back. That is the ultimate test, that you can be given the drug and you can let it go away. Because the letting it go away is the risk you take when you transition off of the protocol and you don't go back into this stringency of, I'm not going to have any grains, I'm not going to have any gluten, I'm not going to have any sugar, I'm going to cut out the dairy, I'm going to go into this ketogenic way of lifestyle, I'm going to go into this. Because what happens if you go into a controlled environment psychologically in fear of gaining fat after the protocol?
You're just going to spin out of control.
Oh, it gets really bad. It's like, it's worse. The protocol becomes a very dangerous thing to do for people who don't have this type of assistance. Oh my Lord, these dogs are driving me nuts. I'm done. We're not doing this again. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm like, keep on letting my dogs in and out. Well, Potato's got a friend here. I know it. So I'm talking and going back and forth to the door. Anyways, hey, cut it out. So at this point, we just need to really consider, okay, the protocol, the loading. We have to prepare you to gorge your face again. That, by the way, is going to be the worst part for you. That's another vulnerability for people, is that feeling of, oh my God, I've gotten full. For people who have, depends on which side of the eating disorder, right? If you're anorexic, most people have a very hard time with that, regardless of where they were on the spectrum of eating disorders. After they go through this rehabilitation, it's awful.
Right.
But it's physical. It's doesn't create the same emotion one way or the other once you've gone through this, because you've detached, right? You've detached from the body and the food. So it just becomes a miserable physical experience.
Yeah.
And then the transition. How many times have you done the protocol?
Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
And I totally did spin out.
Yeah, and this round is going to be very unique because this isn't a diet. This is, you are now doing it after the fact that you've done this rehab, and this isn't about losing the body fat or even rehabilitating from that parasite. This has more to do with your psychological and emotional detachment from the body image, addiction, eating disorder.
Absolutely.
So if you can make that your focus, how do you think this is going to end?
Oh, very well. I am feeling very good about it. If I can stay focused on that and not attached to what's happening with my body physically, I think I'll do really well. Really, really well. I'm excited, actually, because I think that was the missing piece, all along.
Now that you've been through kind of the mind-body work with me, can you see now the picture that I intended to put in Weight Loss Apocalypse?
The picture?
Yeah, well, okay, so think about when you read Weight Loss Apocalypse before.
Oh, right, yes, I totally,
Do you get it now?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I guess to some level, of course. I mean, it made sense, and it was, such a like revolutionary idea to me when I first, understood it. But when you go through the work with you, it's totally different.
I know.
I mean, the depth that the knowledge is taken to is, I don't think, something I could really ever have done on my own.
No, and part of it is because I didn't go into this much detail. It's
Right.
so vanilla, weight loss apocalypses.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, here's the science of the protocol. Here's essentially the environment of the excessive eating. Once you figure this out, you should be able to do this protocol and not care about your weight.
Right.
Now you get it.
Yeah, totally.
Where it sounded good before, but to have that real visceral, physical experience of detachment and then being able to go through this protocol and seeing this as, okay, now I see the HCG protocol as emotional eating rehab. That's a real deal.
Right.
Like, this is now very, very like, wow.
Yeah.
It's not this like,
it can be. Yeah.
Oh, you've done it. You physically have already done it. And now you're about to go into the actual, you're about to do the actual rehab. We've prepared you for this. We've positioned you here. Now you're about to go into it. Now you're going to get your drug, and let's see how well you stay detached. Now, this isn't like all or nothing, okay? If you get sucked back into the body image stuff, I'll know.
I know.
That's the great news. I'll be like, oh, no, you didn't. I can tell. And the good news is I know how to work around it and to help you. I can help you inside of it, right?
Yeah.
As long as you're willing to tell the truth. The problem is some people don't want to tell the truth because they don't want help. They like it. They're getting that lure. They're getting their drug, right? And they don't necessarily want the help.
But I've been there, done that. Yeah. It's not going to do me any good.
Yeah, well, no kidding, right? And you've put this money into this. Why would you do that? Right? I know.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. Point. So I'm here to help. I'm not going to do it for you, but I'm certainly here to help you if you get higher than you should be on the losses, if that makes any sense. If you start getting that really intense narcotic, you're going to show, they will be telling signs because it's going to become very egotistical. You're going to have some fear. You're going to have anxiety. Especially as you get close to you're going to start body checking again. You're going to start noticing all sorts of stuff. Usually by week 2-3, people start to body check a ton. And they wonder why they're having issues eating to hunger again. And they start to have this, and it's like, oh, you just got sucked back in. Let's pull you back out. So anyways, the goal is that you just tell me the truth. So I'm going to stop recording. Thanks for sharing this part. And then we'll discuss, because you're working with a doctor in New York. So you already have your HCG, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we just need to start making some plans.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for letting me share this.